Can a Luka Doncic led NBA basketball team be good enough to make it to the NBA Finals? A lot of people consider him to be a James Harden 2.0, and in my opinion, I think he's better than James Harden. But when you look at it, James Harden's peak was borderline NBA Finals material, but not enough to get you over the hump. Like I said, there's things that Luka does that brings a different element to the game of basketball than a James, but is that enough? We've seen Luka go to the championship game. We've also seen him fall short in the championship game, leaving a lot of question marks in the eyes of his own organization. Now, that organization's eyes should be tested. We need to say that as well, because what Nico Harrison obviously famously saw out of Luka in those finals games wasn't enough in his mind to convince him that Luka-ball is winning ball. And that's what we're going to take a look at today in today's video. Can he get it done? But first, let me just say this. It's your boy Chip Overseas, as you guys know, and I need you to do this for me. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're a fairly new channel, and we're trying to get our subs to 5K. If you're watching this before we get into the thick of things, hit that subscribe button right now. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. So I was watching the Bill Simmons podcast recently, and shout out to Bill Simmons. He recently had Max Kellerman on the show, and Max Kellerman was talking about his experiences at First Take and his relationship with Stephen A. Smith. Pretty much just his takes over the last 2 years, because obviously in the last 2 years he's been under a rock, right? He finished out his contract with ESPN. They asked him not to come to First Take anymore. He's just been sitting on takes. So Max brought up a point saying that he's not sure if a Luka Doncic led team was good enough to win the championship. Currently, the Lakers are sitting at third in the crowded Western Conference, performing better than the Denver Nuggets. They're currently sitting at 16-6 and only 5.5 games behind the historic Thunder team, who that deserves a video for itself, because the way that they're running through a stacked Western Conference is unheard of, and they really must be stopped. But anyway, the Lakers are 8-2 in their last 10 games, and even though they lost the last game, they're really just showing that this is a different Lakers team that we're used to. Last season, there was a lot of moving parts in the middle of the season. Luka came in mid-season in a bombshell trade. This year, things seem to be a little bit different. Now, Austin Reaves is fully activated. He went from being the best third option in the league to looking like one of the better second options in the league. Luka is being Luka, doing his thing, and he missed last game, which is part of the reason why they lost, because he had to go back to Slovenia in order to deliver his child. Well, not him physically deliver the child, but he had to watch his wife give birth. And that man, LeBron Raymond James, he moved back down into that third option. Who would have thought that LeBron James, now granted, he is 41 years old, but I never thought that I'd see the day where LeBron James was not a number 1 or number 2 option, and the game, the offense didn't revolve around him. It didn't run through him. LeBron is visibly giving up the keys right before our eyes, and it's proving to be the best thing that the Lakers could have done. And shout out to Redick, because Redick is the mastermind behind this whole thing. I always say that coaching in the NBA is so hard, because I don't know the level of influence that especially younger coaches have on some of the moves that happen mid-season, right? It seems like, especially the blockbuster trades. You look at a guy like Ty Lue, who inherited a situation, we'll call it that, a situation in LA. And I'm not sure if the moves that were made were exactly what Ty Lue would have wanted, but it doesn't matter. Nobody gives the coaches that out. They don't say, this is my bad, this year is on us because I threw Chris Paul on you. No. They say, this is who you got, coach who you got, put a system around who you got, and we might change that in the middle of the season. We might bring in a player that is one of the top 3 players in the league mid-season, and then you got to create a new game plan. Everything you're doing now, you better implement him into the game plan. So I think last year there was a lot of moving parts, and just everybody coming together as a team. I feel like they're all good guys, and they were eventually going to get together and be able to work in sync. They were eventually going to mesh, but it doesn't happen like that. This is still basketball. These are human beings. So this season, it seems like they finally got the chance to gel as a unit, because everybody knows, if you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and you look at the Indiana Pacers, one thing you can say that separates them from teams like the Clippers, and this is no shade against the Clippers, but the one thing you can say is they all look like they're friends. They all mess with each other, right? Like, if you guys watch, there's a Starting 5 documentary on Netflix, right? Season 2 of Starting 5 with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton. in their clips, because they go around and they follow these guys throughout the season, and they're talking about, they're talking about games, they're hanging out with their teammates, hanging out with their families, all types of stuff. It's an all access documentary. If you haven't watched it, go check it out right now. Whenever you see the Thunder, whenever you see Shay's clips, his wife is always around and his teammates are always around. Sometimes his dad was around too, but his teammates was always around. They came to his house. They were hanging out in his backyard. He threw yard sales for them to come and shop his closet. Like, those teams are the ones that's always going to be performing at higher levels than they can because they like each other. They love playing with each other. They probably love playing for the coach. The synergy that most front offices forget about, and we're going to get into the video really soon, but I had to get this off my chest. The synergy that most front offices forget about is not online. It's not the synergy online where you look at clips and you find, oh, well, how many mid-range shots did DeMar DeRozan shoot last year? It's not that kind of synergy. It's a synergy of human beings coming together as one. And that's what I think is happening with the Lakers now. And obviously, Luka Doncic is the biggest piece in that puzzle. So let's talk about Luka. When he first came to LA, everybody said they don't know if Luka and LeBron will do good together because Luka needs the ball and LeBron needs the ball. When Luka has the ball, he's making good reads. He's able to pass not only to open shooters, but he's able to give an opportunity for a hockey assist. He'll pass to somebody that's going to pass to somebody else and they'll score. He plays a pick and roll. He's a really good three-point shooter. A little bit streaky, so his percentages aren't what they should be, but when he shoots a three, the defense is worried. He gets to the basket. He makes timely buckets, right? He's always the guy that makes the shot that breaks the camel's back, right? He always seems to be the last hair on the camel's back to make the camel fall. But it's deeper than that. Luka is a guy that plays with such joy for the game. From the player's perspective, because obviously not only am I a former player, but I'm a former overseas basketball player. So I understand the psyche of a guy like Luka. Luka doesn't really fit in with the superstar mold of American top basketball players. He doesn't, right? That's why he gets crucified a lot, because his body doesn't look like LeBron's. He's in his physical prime and his body is not going to look like LeBron's, because in Eastern Europe, not saying that they don't work out on their bodies, they're like very strong and they do all the work in the gym. But the main thing is IQ and skill. If your IQ is good and your skill is up to par, they don't care how long can you hold a plank for. They don't care how many dumbbell curls can you do with 60-pound weight. They don't think of it like that. For him, the most important part is the game. Kevin Durant has this mentality too. It's like, if I can shoot better than you, I deserve to be on the court, because this is not a bodybuilding competition. But also that timely element that he has to his game, the one that allows him to make the big shot, allows him to get the crowd roaring, Luka, yeah, MVP. He's getting MVP chants on the same court as LeBron James, which is crazy. I've never seen that before. They call it Luka magic, and it just seems like he has the knack, right, for hitting a crazy shot. I mean, watching him back when he was in Spain at Real Madrid, he was 18 years old for a whole season. He turned 19 at the end of the season, and he won MVP of the EuroLeague. Now, I'm going to do a video where I just break down the history and the timeline of Luka Doncic, because I want American fans to understand the significance of what this guy means to basketball, not only at the European level, but on the global level. The kid is something that we have never seen before as a collective in basketball. There is not one, right? You can take the number one prospect in high school right now, the number one 18-year-old at the moment. It's funny enough, Cooper Flagg is still 18, which is insane. Okay, fine, let's use Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg, if you just picked him up and dropped him on KK Partizan right now in the EuroLeague and said, you have the ABA League schedule, which is the domestic Adriatic League, and then you got EuroLeague games. So you got 2-3 games a week. And you got all these Eastern European type practices. And you got all this, you're playing with grown men, and, let's say Cooper Flagg wasn't in the NBA at this point and he wasn't used to playing against grown men. You just throw him into the fold. He would not be the MVP of the EuroLeague. In fact, he might not even be first team of the EuroLeague. In fact, he might not even be second team of the EuroLeague because there's elements to the game that's a little bit too physical, a little bit too fast, and the nature of what European basketball is, Cooper Flag wouldn't look so dominant in that setting. Whereas he played college ball at Duke, a top university, and he was probably one of the better college players in the country. So we're talking about an 18-year-old not only going over there and playing well. Yeah, he played well, that's good. But no, he won the MVP. He was clearly the best player. And he had defensive deficiencies and everything, and it didn't matter. His offense was that good. He played the same exact way. Now in the NBA, it just looks like it's on steroids. So before you even talk about the tangibles, the points, assists, field goal percentages, hockey assists, all that stuff, before you even get to that, this is the head of the snake. He came to the NBA as a made man. He plays with the joy of the game that a child has. He literally looks at the game like a child looks at something that he loves. All this guy wants to do is play basketball. You ever seen the young videos of him? Like, he's one of those kids. Like, he's like Steph Curry almost. You know, Steph Curry, like the young versions of Steph Curry is caught on camera, him going into the game with his dad and him shooting around with other NBA players. Luka had the same upbringing. His dad was one of the better players of his generation in Serbia. He grew up as a protege. There's television clips of interviews with him as a young kid talking about his experience loving basketball. This is national television. He was less than 10 years old. He was a sensation. Plus, he can hit these shots, right? Everybody talks about Luka Magic. He can hit these shots where he'd be sitting down at Rucker Park, front row, and he'll shoot from the seat of the front row of Rucker Park, and he'll just cash. And like, that's the kind of guy that this is. So when that's the head of your snake, he's a made man. He has fun with the game. He can bring a joy of the game out of you. In high pressure situations, he's the guy that you can look at and say, he got me. And if he needs me, I'll be there. Now, how did that differ from a guy like LeBron? Because LeBron was highly successful playing a similar style of basketball, and LeBron did it. So how does that differ than what Luka does? In my opinion, Luka's style basketball might be better for his teammates. It might bring out more from his teammates. If you're a LeBron teammate, you're carrying pressure. You're carrying the weight of Akron, Ohio. You're carrying the weight of whatever city you guys are playing for. Everything is so micromanaged on you. Remember when Danny Green missed a three in the bubble to win a game? He was getting national attention for missing a shot. Danny Green has never been covered on the national news outside of his time in UNC. He misses a shot that LeBron passed to him, and now you're the leading topic on ESPN the next day. If Danny Green was on Luka Doncic's team, you're not having that same level of pressure. If you know anything about Eastern European culture, which I lived in Serbia, so only for 1 year. I don't know everything about Eastern European culture, all right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I've played 1 season in Serbia, Leskovac. If you know what Leskovac is, please write it in the comments and let everybody know that is a historic place. So, I do know something about the culture. They like to have fun. They like to enjoy themselves. They enjoy the game. When you go to practice, it's serious, it's disciplined, but the coach is going to crack a joke every now and then. You're going to be feeling like it's a laxed environment once the basketball starts rolling. Everything else around the basketball, there's high pressure, there's high stakes because the fans are so included in what you're doing. They're here. You feel their influence everywhere. When I played in Serbia, I would go to a restaurant and I'd get in a taxi because I didn't drive. I'd get in the taxi and the taxis are like $1 rides and it's awesome. I get in the taxi and whoever's driving, it could be a man, it could be a female, they immediately identify me. Oh, Duan. That's what they call me. Duan. Oh, Duan. And they'll tell me their take on our team, on the league. They're like at that level. Even the taxi drivers are so locked in with what's going on. They're high IQ fans and they're super connected to whatever team they're following. So when it comes to actually being in the game, they want to have fun with it, man. They want to enjoy basketball. It's a luxury to play professional basketball. Luka brings that joy to the game, and that makes the players around him better. Now we can talk about the stats and the skills. Luka's currently averaging 35.3, the most in his career, 8.9 rebounds and 8.9 assists per game. So obviously we know that he dominates the rock. But JJ Redick is the missing piece here. We all know about what Luka can do to close the games. He probably is one of the more devastating closers that the NBA has currently. But the one knock on Luka was sometimes that ball tends to stick a little bit too much, and he can get a little three happy, which sometimes he still does. But JJ does a great job of whenever that ball is not in Luka's hands, whenever it's not his time to go, he'll make sure that it finds the other players that need to stay engaged. Because over the course of a game, Luka can give you a whole quarter of just straight offense where you don't have to do anything as a teammate. Just kind of watch this guy operate. He's got a good quarter in him where he's just taking over the whole situation. And then you got a guy like Austin Reaves, who he also can kind of do the same thing. And last season, it kind of felt like it was a back and forth. All right, this is my quarter, this is your quarter, this is my quarter, this is your quarter. And they were kind of on at the same time. And then it would get really bad for the offense when they were both off at the same time, because sometimes that would happen where Luka's missing, Austin's missing. And it just wouldn't work because there was nowhere else that the offense could come from. When those guys weren't on, the other guys weren't involved enough in the offense that they were just ready to go when you needed them. For a role player, they have to get some kind of love within the offense. And the one knock on the James Harden, Luka Doncic ball is sometimes the corner man just gets bored and he just gets frozen out the game. This season, you don't really see that as much. And a big part of the reason why is LeBron James. I mentioned before in this video that LeBron James being the third option was a really good thing for the LA Lakers. And I never thought I'd ever say those words ever in life, because this is LeBron James still. But him accepting his role as a third option on the team lets everybody else know that we A-okay. And here's why. Regardless of the antics, like we just saw JJ Redick get very frustrated with LeBron because LeBron wasn't listening. He didn't run the play that JJ wanted. Regardless of that, he's putting his ego to the side to some degree. If he can put his ego to the side and say, I'm just going to be ready to score the ball when it comes to me or make the right play with the ball when it comes to me. I'm not priority right now, but I'm still going to be ready. That's going to empower every other role player on the team, because if LeBron can do it, your butt can. Your butt certainly can do it if he can do it. LeBron's setting screens and rolling. He's involved in horns actions. He's involved in handoffs, but he's handing it off, right? We're used to seeing LeBron coming off the handoff and getting downhill, which he still does that to some degree, but not in the same quantity as it used to be. And with a guy like Luka, you only got to bring him to about the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. And then after that, he has the gene where he just takes over. And you can trust that works well enough all the way to the championship level, because he's done that at his time with the Mavericks. The only thing you can say about Luka is the defensive deficiencies. And in the defensive deficiencies, you have to put the right pieces around him defensively to kind of mask him. And the Lakers have done that this season. So in short, what you have with Luka and the Lakers is in theory good enough to win a championship. Now, how do they match up against Shea and the Thunder? How do they match up against Cade Cunningham and the Pistons? We have to see it. We have to see it. But there's no stopping this guy. He can score whenever he wants, and it's not on sheer athleticism. So it's even better for him in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, the game is slowed down. When the game is slowed down is when he thrives. So he's going to just thrive in the playoffs, continue to thrive. He couldn't do it last year because it was a weird fit. He didn't know if it was Bron's team. Is it my team? No. This is clearly Luka Doncic's team. He's done it at every level. He did it in the youth, U16, U18s in Real Madrid. He did it for the senior team at Real Madrid. He did it for the Dallas Mavericks. And now it's his time to do it for the Lakers. It's going to happen. Stamp it. Matter of fact, I'm going to stamp it right now. Chip Overseas thinks that Luka Doncic and the Lakers will win the championship in 2026. LeBron is going to win. I was going to say LeBron's going to win Finals MVP, because I always thought that he needed to be in a situation like this where he's getting carried to the final 7 games or 6 games, however long the series goes, and then he's just going to show out and give it his all like he did in the Olympics. I still think he has that run in him at Finals MVP. So I'm going to hold out on who's going to be the Finals MVP. It's either going to be Luka or LeBron. But I think they're going to win the chip because it works. With this version of the Lakers, it works. That's the video. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Chip Overseas. Peace.